Mark Waid, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's
the Krypton Report.
I am your host, Tyler, and welcome to Krypton Report, a podcast dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl. We're going to look at the Supergirl TV series, as well as the Krypton TV series, anything that has to do with the characters in their world. Comics, movies, TV shows. We will talk about everything and anything. We are part of the Southgate Media Group podcasting network. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, Apple Podcast, please leave us a review to help us get better. You can find me personal at JTYPatrick on Twitter and everything else. You can buy a Krypton Report t-shirt at tpublic.com. Check it out. They have all sizes, colors, styles of shirts. Just go to tpublic.com and search Krypton Report, and you'll see our logo. And every time you buy a shirt, it helps support other podcasts from southgatemedia.com. Thank you. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Crisis episode of the Krypton Report. Not only will James and I be talking about Crisis on Earth X, because yes, this is a delayed episode, because I had been sick. It feels like the month of December and most of January has just been sickness all around. But I have a crisis of children at my house, and James has his children at his house. So we thought, what better way to discuss a crisis event than being in a midlife crisis of our own? So I want to welcome, as I've said, James Cole back to discuss the crossover event Crisis on Earth X. Welcome, James.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. Excited to talk about Crisis. Yeah, it's a crisis. You got sick kids at home. Everything's a crisis.
Poor sick children I've had. I mean, it seems like every time I turn around, somebody was sick back and forth. Sick wife, sick myself.
It's terrible how it passes down through the house.
Even when you quarantine them, you're staying in this room only with a can of Lysol. All right, so we're going to jump into this.
Yeah, I do that with my wife when it comes time to being sick.
Yeah, I did that with Jania. I was like, nope, just stay in the bedroom, shut the door, locked.
Yep.
Okay, so real quick here, this is our fourth crossover event. Last year, just a quick rundown of your thoughts overall real quick with each crossover event we've had.
Well, we started with Flash and Arrow. It was the first crossover that they had. And, it's pretty cool. It's, basically the year of seeing heroes fight, Yep. What would be the second year crossover?
The second year is where they did with the Hawks. They did Vandal Savage, which was kind of like the backdoor intro for Legends.
Yes.
I thought that one was pretty good. A solid, 1 hour on one show, 1 hour on the other show.
Yeah, it was a good stepping off point, too, Bring Vandal Savage in the mix, be able to launch the Legends series.
And then, last year, what do you think of last year's Invasion?
Last year's Invasion, each episode was... And obviously, Supergirl's being it was like a 3 3/4 part, 3 1/8 part crossover.
Yeah.
The Supergirl crossover was when they came and got her, and she saw a couple of those breaches. But it's definitely it was really good. Each episode was specific to the show, which made it unique. All of them crossing over a story, but they all were specific to each episode for each show. You know what I mean? Like the Arrow.
Because the Arrow was the 100th episode.
Yes. They brought a lot of people back with it. So it was a special episode, but they did a really good job, keeping each one tied to the overall story, but each one had their own uniqueness for each show.
I agree. I liked Invasion, other than they advertised it as a 4-part crossover, and Supergirl you could do without it because
Pretty much.
it's tie-in
They
to
showed
nothing.
exactly what happened in the Flash.
Exactly.
Like, it was fine when they started it being before, but then they didn't really have to go back and show it again, you know?
Yep. And then, of course, the Supergirl episode is when they had the whole Medusa virus that killed aliens, which would have been exactly what they needed to take on the Dominators, but they just happened to get rid of that virus right before the crossover.
I heard that, but you know what? Different Earth, different alien invasion. I mean, what can you really do? It's really bad timing on their part.
But this year we get a true crossover event, which with Crisis on Earth X was something that I had said before would be great if they just made it like a 4-hour TV miniseries movie and then just split it up over 4 nights or whatever. And that's basically what they did. You weren't sure which show you were watching, really, during the different parts of the different events.
Yeah, it was nice to have the title sequence. It was just called Crisis on Earth X, like a TV movie. You know,
Which
wasn't
is great,
specific.
But what's crazy is last year I went to Redbox one day and they had Invasion as a DVD in Redbox. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I checked it out. And I've been looking and everything like this Crisis on Earth X deserves a like video release, or at least even a digital of just all of it put together as one viewing experience instead of having to buy the individual episodes.
Yeah, definitely with this year's crossover Crisis, you know, it was a TV movie. I mean, it was like when they had the part TV movies like The Odyssey back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
with Armand Desante.
Exactly. Yeah, I have that on DVD.
I remember watching that. I was pumped to watch that.
Me too.
So we're going to jump into this, but I want you to go ahead and start off because James noticed something in the first episode that I didn't even notice, and I feel bad for not noticing, but it doesn't seem like anyone else has noticed it. So, James, why don't you go ahead and wow everyone with what your keen superhero eye caught?
Well, you know, right in the first opening moments of Crisis, when they start off on Earth X, and they're coming across the city skyline, the building that they come down to, the building they show, is the Watchtower from Smallville. Obviously decorated in Nazi symbols and banners and everything, but you know, that's a digital building. You know, that was put in the beginning on purpose.
Yes.
You know, I haven't heard anybody else catch that, but yes, that first building right off the opening, I saw it on my rewatch. The first time I rewatched it, I just turned on the first episode, and the first thing I see is Watchtower. Caught me by surprise.
And that's awesome. Now, what's cool is this episode technically is the Supergirl portion, but like we said before, it starts off on Earth X with a battle between Guardian in his correct colors versus the evil
The Fuhrer.
Did they ever give him a name? Just or the Fuhrer. They just called him the Fuhrer, didn't they?
The Fuhrer, yeah, he's Oliver. I've heard, you know, Dark Archer, but he's not exactly just the Dark Archer, but yeah, they called him Fuhrer.
We will call him Fuhrer, just to be simple, because Dark Archer, you know, you think of Malcolm Merlin and stuff, so...
Or even if from Smallville, Oliver Queen had a Dark Archer enemy in that.
It was Vortigern, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they specifically called him Dark Archer.
So, exactly. So we have this epic battle scene that was really nice to see, and then Guardian gets killed.
Yeah, he put him down.
Which was fine by me. I haven't been a huge fan of Jimmy Olsen being Guardian, and so far this season that's something they abandoned, but I guess that's going to come back here soon. Right when I was getting happy about not having it, they decide that they should bring it back. Go figure.
Right.
So, I mean, it was neat because one thing I've said about this season was if they're going to do something like
One quick thing, real quick. Bring him back, Guardian. That actually, since he's been behind, in the background most of the time, the last handful of episodes, he's developed that relationship with Lena. So becoming Guardian will give them a different dynamic.
This is true. This is a very very good
relationship.
This is very true. We can talk about the Lena thing later because I frankly like it, but we don't want to digress. Now we see after Oliver does his murdering of Guardian, it cuts, and we get to see Barry fighting King Shark. Like, how cool was that? Like, random. Yeah, and I think there was a line about maybe him escaping or something. I just, it was awesome. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, they made King Shark look awesome in the Flash.
Daddy's recording.
And it was really great because we saw that, then we get Supergirl. She has her portal device, which, once again, I feel like she could have used before, or Barry could have used before. Like, how... Okay, not to sidestep where we are in Flash, but I'm going to say this really quick. Barry's on trial. How awesome would it have been if he had John Jones help him out, with being on trial?
Yeah.
Like, hey, can I have, your shape-shifting John Jones or McGann? Give me a hand real quick. And I'm still waiting for them to do a crossover where Sean gets to come too. Just throwing that out there. Just
right.
Out there.
Well, next year, I mean, if they do the crossover and they want to do it big, they need to bring in the heavy hitters with Superman and Martian Manhunter.
I keep saying, man, the crossover needs to be War World, but Mongol, and
yes, that would be epic.
Have that as the epic TV bad guy. We have quote unquote Darkseid and Steppenwolf in the film series, and Marvel's got Thanos in theirs. Mongol would be a great TV big bad.
Yeah, he's never had a moment to shine outside of animation comics.
Let's see here. I do have in my notes.
I did the opening montage. Each city was each person's font. The RSVP for the wedding. They had a good opening sequence, seeing as the whole thing was Crisis. And each episode didn't have their specific title card or anything like that. It was all just Crisis.
Which was great.
We got to see their individual fonts right out the gate, which
I very much enjoyed. I did mark in here on my notes, and I can't remember where. The actor, they saw the actor who played Lex on Lex Clone in season 10 of Smallville, who was also in Man of Steel, makes an appearance on Earth X. And I thought it was interesting how their evil symbol, they're supposed to be Nazis, but yet they kind of broke apart the swastika to make the double line evil symbol instead of the actual swastika. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, they had some actual swastikas around there, but some of the heroes or some of the villain characters, the main characters, they had their individual symbols.
And then, this episode it further just makes me think, why is Cisco not rich? Like, his inventions, he should be rolling in money. Like, Team Flash shouldn't have to work because of Cisco's inventions. And I love how the rehearsal is at CC Jitters. Like, where can we have a rehearsal today for a wedding? The coffee shop. That's where we're going. We're going to get coffee.
Yeah, I can't believe that's the nicest place in Central City. Just the nicest set piece.
We get to have Supergirl sings again, singing the song that Barry sang to Iris, which I love the song that Barry sang to Iris.
Yeah, me too. I have a copy of it.
So do I, because let me just say I attempt to sing it to my wife because I'm really not a singer. My wife and her whole family can sing. Like, their worst sound sounds better than my best sound. Like, if I was empowered with, like, superpowers to sing. But they make a reference to Spider-Man in this episode.
They did.
I was like, that's different.
Yeah, and they just called out Spider-Man and rattled off his powers and.
Let's see here. I love Joe's speech, the rehearsal speech, and it was an awesome speech for him to give. That gets almost worried because Felicity yelling at Oliver, "I don't want to marry you," and once again, I'm like, Felicity, do we really want you around anymore? I feel like your character has run its course, and it's time for you to go bye-bye.
Her character has gotten stale from time to time. The whole will they, won't they for Oliver and Felicity. Not really. Second time Oliver Queen, speaking of Smallville, Oliver Queen marries somebody that's more or less just a random.
Yeah. Yeah, both. Okay, let's take a step here. Both live action Oliver Queens that we have never had a proper Black Canary relationship. Let that sink in for you. He's been on TV twice.
Yep, and neither relationship has gone well. Like, they bring it up in Smallville, but the Laurel thing here in Arrow, I mean, he messed that up long time ago.
Crazy. Cool. We got blocks of power, huh? Dinosaurs and blocks. Now, we get to the day of the wedding. And now, did you catch who the preacher was?
I don't believe I did. Who was it?
Okay, the actor who played the preacher played the TV Greatest American Hero.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he gets blown up, and everyone's like, what? And then, I mean, it's like the worst wedding to crash.
Right.
And then even Heatwave's like, I hate Nazis. And Heatwave in this episode to me was funny. Like, I feel like sometimes on the show Legends, he gets a little, I don't know, sometimes he's funny and sometimes it's kind of dry.
Right.
But I enjoyed him, like, some of his quips in this. Like, when he's sitting down and it's the police captain looks over kind of like, wait, aren't you? He's like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, him taking Cisco's beer. I tried to kill the groom on multiple occasions. Maybe I should sit on the bride's side.
That's what I thought was funny. Were those things. Now, so we get the wedding crash by the Nazis, the heroes fight, and at this time, I hadn't watched all of Legends, so I didn't know that the Legends have... Also, I hate the fact they call themselves the Legends. That's just a side note. That they had their little, like, Men in Black mind eraser things, so they were able to erase everyone's mind who was at the wedding. I was sitting there like, oh, man, you know, you have Captain Singh and all of these people that are going to be like, holy cow, what's going on? But no.
Right. Why does Oliver Queen, who's currently being investigated by the FBI, pull out a bow and arrow at a wedding?
Yeah, in front of the police. But no, that was a nice little quip. So we have Supergirl battling Overgirl, which they don't call her that till like the third episode or something. But I thought it was awesome. I liked the look of Overgirl.
Yeah, they did a really good job. The characters, you know, how heartless and cold they were. You know, the actors did a very good job playing both roles. You got to give it up for Oliver, Stephen Amell and Melissa Benoist for getting, you know, being so busy on that crossover, playing both sides.
Oh, I know. It just shows, like, I like seeing them be able to branch out and do more in their range.
Mm-hmm.
So the episode kind of comes to a wrap when the good guys kidnap Earth X's Prometheus. Now, did you have who did you think Prometheus was before the unmasking?
Well, I was curious. You know, I didn't really have too many guesses. I was wondering if it was going to be Prometheus, the other Earth, but being the big reveal, it makes sense.
Go ahead, James. Tell him. Who was it? What was the
big reveal? Is Tommy Merlin.
Booyah!
Oliver's lifetime friend, even on Earth X, is Prometheus.
And I love it.
And short-lived, I might add.
Yeah. Tommy, you know, I love that none of the heroes have quite figured out that just because they look like you from another Earth doesn't mean they share the same values or whatever as you.
Right.
Because we have Oliver trying to talk to Tommy, like, and I love how Tommy kind of played into it and then just started laughing in his face.
Right. Yeah, talking to him like he's Tommy from Earth 1, just turned around the wrong way. You know, like he could turn him and bring him back, but he's a completely different person, raised a completely different way.
Yeah, he's not like Darth Vader. He ain't going to turn back to the good side there, Oliver. Especially for you. I'm sorry. You're not the person I see championing someone back to the good side. So,
which was nice, the reveal actually coming at the second part on the first night.
Yes.
Being the Arrow episode.
Now, okay, two things about this episode, like, that really stuck out with this part of it to me. One is when we learn that there's a 53rd Earth. That's Earth X and everything. And Wells makes a comment about 53 Earths all the same. Okay? Well, it makes me think back to... It makes me think back to these pieces of information. One, Jay Garrick of Earth 2. His name is J.J. And there's the line in an episode where Henry Allen says, "My mother, maiden name is Garrick." So that means things aren't always the same. But it also makes me think, like, remember when Barry showed up on Kara's Earth and searched for Cisco and everybody on there and couldn't find them? Well, what if they had alternate names or they weren't there? And then it makes me think, well, that means there has to be some form of Kara on Barry's Earth, or in Barry's Earth / universe, would that mean that there's 53 different Kryptons? And maybe in some of them, Krypton didn't explode? So maybe Kara never came to Earth. And Cal never came to Earth in Barry's world on Earth 1 because Krypton never exploded.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
I mean, that's how you could explain not having Superman.
Well, in the Invasion crossover, right? And in the Invasion crossover, they the Atom brought up that Kara looks like his cousin. Obviously, at the time, it was a Superman 2, a Superman Returns, him being Superman and her being Superman's cousin. But
which was
if his cousin looks like her on Barry's Earth, then her doppelganger is just from Earth 1 is just a human person.
So it kind of makes me wonder, like, there has to be some sort of, like, variances to things with the Earths.
I mean, it would only make sense that they're not just varying images of the same everything.
Okay, and then also, so, the Speedster, is that Thawne? Like, I was trying to figure out, like, is it legitly Eobard Thawne? Or...
That's the way they made it sound. Eobard Thawne, just the same time remnant.
So that's what I thought, and I was like, huh. I'm not sure if I like it or not like it, like, I know, like, in some ways, Thawne's supposed to be like the villain that Barry can never defeat because of the whole time travel and everything. But at the same time, it kind of makes me sad that we don't have Eddie. Almost like he died for nothing.
Right. Yeah, that does make it seem that he died for nothing. But just the way they have him, how he's just, in and out of time, and even though he seems to be destroyed, there's something I still don't get how he's always coming back so far. But
yeah, I need some more explanation for that particular thread.
Sorry, my daughter's crying. She's done something. Now she's freaking out because she got a little prick on her foot.
Oh, poor girl. But yeah, the Thawne thing was something that I needed more explanation for, just because I was trying to piece it together if that was like the Thawne of that time or the same Thawne that we've been dealing with, who supposedly died in Legends as well. So
yeah, well, the thing that actually gets me the most is, in the first season when he took Wells' face, he actually had to do something to take his face. But now he comes back as Wells. Now, unless he did it from another time or something, like,
what about Earth X as Wells?
Regularly wants his face to just confuse Barry because that's what his whole purpose is.
They're trying to reveal more of their plan, I guess, like, about they're going to destroy, like, I don't know, like, I was kind of thinking they were going to go like a Crisis on Two Earths things, where they wanted to just destroy the multiverse. But that's not where they go.
Yeah, the reveal of why they're there, Supergirl being sick, basically
like an all-star Superman plot, honestly. You know, where she's dying because she got overexposed.
Overexposed, yeah, like all-star Superman storyline, but for a bad girl.
That's fine. Too hot, huh?
I love you guys.
No, you too, buddy.
So, we get this episode. We don't get Diggle, and I kind of wanted to see. Oh, excuse me. I kind of wanted to see the Amazo robot. Like, since we've kind of been retconning and fixing things that were done in the past, you know, we had the ship, the Amazo, and everything.
Oh yeah.
I kind of wanted the android to show up.
Well, you know, that would have been cool, but we also did get a cool robot show by the end of this part 2 episode.
Yeah, we got
in full Terminator mode.
we got
Metallo.
We got full on Terminator Metallo. And then
100% robot, no human skin.
And then soon we get a legit red tornado.
Yeah, that red tornado looked really cool. Much better than Supergirl season 1.
And then once again, I kept thinking about Earth X. Like, what happened to Superman? Where's Superman on Earth X? Now we do get. Now as the show progresses, you know, we get where our heroes end up on Earth X in a concentration camp.
Yes, into part 3.
Held over by Nazi leader Quentin Lance.
Yeah, which he actually got to use his British accent.
So I know he was happy. And we get to meet the Ray, a character I don't know a lot about, that I kind of forgot about until this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that they were coming out with the animated show or movie or whatever for the Ray for CW, for CW Seed. But I don't really know a whole lot about the character. I do like the fact that he's like, so your name is Ray, and you named yourself the Ray.
Yes.
It makes it seem like the Ray, like the James or something.
Yep.
You know? But his light abilities, it makes sense.
The worst superhero cover-up ever. But we learned that he's in there because he's not only a freedom fighter superhero, he's also homosexual. And we know how the Nazis dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
But more interesting than that,
his own daughter because of it.
Yes, which I always thought
which was really dark.
Well, I just think they never could figure out what they wanted to do with Sarah's sexuality. We did forget to mention that her and Alex did meet and hook up, which is
It's an interesting dynamic, and it actually helped to further Alex's personal story going forward in Supergirl as well.
Yes. But, it seemed like it was one of those things that was kind of up to the writers, because at first they seemed like Sarah wasn't really a lesbian as much as she was interested just with Nyssa. And then, because she also was back with Oliver for a short period, and then she died. Then she comes back. And then, on Legends, they just make her out like a full-on lesbian. I don't care about anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like
through history, he's trying to hook up with every famous woman.
So it was like they couldn't figure out what they wanted to do with her dynamic in it. But Yeah, so Quentin did kill his daughter because of it.
For liking guys and girls. So they actually did kind of cement it that she does still like guys.
Yes. And that's what I think.
I guess it probably just a special guy.
That's why I said it goes. I think it goes to whoever's writing it.
Talking about Wonder Woman.
We're talking about Legends of Tomorrow, buddy. Now we do learn something very interesting about the Ray. He's actually from Earth 1. Solo.
What?
Don't go in the laundry room, buddy.
Which I wonder if it's answered in that animated movie or cartoon. Whatever you like. I wonder if they answer that. Why he's on Earth X, if he's originally from Earth 1.
So I think that's interesting in itself. Like, how did he get there? Why did he get there? Why did he stayed? He could be doing something else.
He actually went back.
Yeah. So let's see here.
Well, then, basically the concentration camp, we're introduced to Ray, Citizen Cold, General Wynn, who was a stern badass,
It was nice to see Wynn on Earth X. It's because, so there's our first example of a Supergirl character existing on an Earth with other characters from the universe. Like we were just talking about how we haven't seen any of the doppelgangers of the Supergirl characters. When is the first one we see interact outside of their main universe? Oh, the second one technically, because the first one we saw was Guardian.
Yeah.
So yeah. And do you notice how Metallo kind of looked like Grid?
A little bit. Not as Cyborg, but
right.
Yeah, pretty close.
Let's see. Oh, I put in my notes here. I'm kind of waiting for Kara to find out that Felicity pretty much dated everybody.
Yeah. Right.
And then I hadn't watched, like I said, I hadn't watched Legends up until this. I kept wondering where Citizen Steel was, and Vixen, and Isis, or whatever her name is. They're not using Isis, and Ray. Because I love Brennan Routh as the Atom.
Yeah.
I kept wondering, where are they at? And then they show up here, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah, they finally show up, which, she says her cousin will save her. And Vaughn talking about Superman is awesome. But my cousin will save me and Brandon Howe. Kind of a callback to last year. Looks like my cousin.
Yep. Now, in my notes, I can't tell if a page got ripped out or if I didn't section off where the next chapter started, because I had them all blocked out. But my notebook took some damage from my daughter.
Well, we're in part 4 right now. That
because
with Ray Palmer saving Supergirl.
Okay, because we're getting to one of my favorite lines in this whole amazing crossover. Solomon, calm down, buddy. Calm down, pal. I know it's exciting, but jeez. So we get the cool scene of all the heroes walking in slow-mo to fight the Earth Xers because Overgirl is dying. And the Fuhrer wants to save who is his wife. So they found a way for Oliver to get to make out with Supergirl. Because Oliver's making his way through every woman on the show. I was waiting for him to start trying to hit on Laurel and Sarah's mom. Or Felicity's mom. My son
Gotta play up the Playboy side.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for next season to be Sherwood Florist. Give me Sherwood Forest before this show is over. So Supergirl heals, okay? And I'm just kind of jumping ahead. She flies and confronts Overgirl and says this great line of, General, care to step outside? Which is a callback to Superman 2. And it was amazing.
Yes, that was a great one.
Sayla.
We did miss over the part where Firestorm separates and
Thank you. I knew.
Gray gets shot.
Okay, because that's what got torn out of my notes here. So let's take a jump back.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here running through my head like, what happened? And I'm like, wait. And then it dawned on me, too. So the biggest thing to happen in this crossover event, I think, is the fact that Martin Stein tries to be a hero as Martin Stein, not Firestorm, and he gets shot. And leading up to this, they were trying to find a way to separate Firestorm so that Jax could retain his power. And basically, they end up finding a way to cure Firestorm so that Jax is okay and Martin dies in one of the saddest television deaths. Like, it was just so beautiful and heartfelt.
Which, yeah.
His thing was he wanted to quit. He'd already made, for anyone who's not watching Legends, like, last season they messed up and had a time, what's the term? A time change where Martin and his wife actually had a daughter, and the Legends didn't change it, and they let her live. And now Martin's going to be a grandfather, and that was part of his thing, is he wanted to go back and be with his grandchild and his daughter, and then he ends up dying. And it was sad.
Which is kind of permanent, you know. I mean, even in a comic book show, a lot of these times when these characters do die, they don't always come back.
There needs to be a sense of permanent. Like, there has to be some deaths that stick.
Yeah, there's some real stakes involved.
And, Jax has to go to Clarissa and be the one that tells her.
Right.
And that was
that was a heartbreaking section of the episode. But jumping ahead to where we are now, that leaves some room open on the Wave Rider, which we just got some recent news that Kid Flash, Wally West, is going to be more of a permanent position on Legends.
Which he should. I've said that before because it makes that team stronger. But right now on the Flash, there's not a lot for Kid Flash to do. But ironically, he's going to Legends, I guess, at the moment that he could actually be used on the Flash. But once again, we're jumping ahead. Now back to...
Yeah.
Now, here's a character that we haven't seen for a while, is the modern day Vixen. And I put this in my notes because, it would have been cool if she showed up or she comes back sometime. Because, even if Earth X would have had their version of Vixen, it would have been cool, and it was the modern day Vixen. Because she's just disappeared.
Well, that might have been a little more hard to pull off considering the whole Nazi angle.
True. But she could have been a freedom fighter.
Yeah. Very well could have, yeah.
She could have been there with Wynn. It would just been nice to see her come back around,
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah, she's still getting baby food, buddy. Now, here's the
But then we get...
I don't quite understand some of Cisco's powers to breach. Because... I say that because there are times where I feel like he could... when they were... he could open a breach in front of something and send it somewhere else. Like when they were chasing the Wave Rider. He could have... he could have opened a breach He could have flew in. He could have had it show up somewhere else. Or like when they're fighting anybody, if someone's coming after them, he could just open a breach and send them somewhere. Or do something where he opens a breach like Gypsy did, where they would jump in and then open one and they fall like from the sky.
Right.
We get another Superman reference with fly her up and away.
Right. And then Supergirl, as she flies her up and away. Overgirl explodes. Supergirl comes falling back to Earth. Very Superman Returns reminiscent.
Yep.
Of unconscious, collapsing, falling back to Earth. And then boom, and a big puff of dirt and everything. And not as big as you would think, because then when you look down, when they pan down, Captain Steel, Citizen Steel?
Yep.
Is caught Kara.
And he
calls himself the Man of Steel.
Yeah. I'm like, I guess he could get away with it, because, I mean, his last name even is Steel.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that was cool. He did catch her. And, that's a character I actually do really like on Legends. Is Citizen Steel.
He was okay. He had some moments in the second season. I am currently not caught up on Legends. Literally, the most Legends I watched is the crossover this season so far.
I did, and then I had some friends tell me that I needed to. So when everything went on break, I watched the episodes of Legends that were available still on the CW app. I think I've missed like one or two that I haven't seen that weren't on there anymore. So, and then
I'm not sure how far it goes back on the CW app or on Hulu for the season.
So basically, we learned that Citizen Cold is going to stay on the Wave Rider for some reason. The Ray is staying on Earth X. Then we finally get to see Diggle, where Barry runs and grabs Diggle and brings him to the park to marry Barry and Iris. And then Felicity has to be a attention hog again and asks Oliver to marry her.
How kind of rude is that?
Extremely rude. Like, it's the same thing as like,
hold on, wait.
It's the same thing as like asking someone to marry you at someone else's like wedding rehearsal or wedding day or whatever. Like,
he kind of did it on the low, and he didn't want to really take away. He did it, but then she comes up, she does her yelling and
I don't know, like, I am so done with Felicity. Like, I think she should have died by now. Just because sometimes, look, I'm not heartless, but in superheroes, characters' death do drive a character, and we lost Moira, we lost, Laurel. Get rid of Felicity. It's time. But overall, what would you rate this on a 10-point scale? What would you rate this?
Out of 10, my wife says a 7, but she didn't watch it. Well, quite a lot of the stuff I liked. A lot of references. A couple of things that you. Couple of left open questions. So I'd say it's definitely an 8. Very. I would recommend.
I give it an 8.5. Oh, like almost a 9. I think for a 1-point view, like for viewing, yeah. I think it would be kind of neat if you kind of maybe edited and tightened it up a little bit and made it more of a solid movie. But I really enjoy it. I highly recommend to anybody. If anyone's not watched the other shows, I think you can just jump in and enjoy this. I think the biggest show to have missed out on is Flash, just because it starts with, the wedding of Barry and Iris, and the other like little side stories about like what's going on with Alex and stuff like that. I think is pretty well explained in the story, so you don't have to really worry too much.
Yeah, if it definitely will plug you into where every character is at in their own story. It did that very well.
Sayla. Supergirl Sayla, come here. My little Supergirl, come here. So, any other final thoughts here? Because my crisis is about to erupt into a larger crisis here. I got a baby.
I already had mine. You might hear it on the audio.
Yeah,
while you're listening to this.
My baby she's starting to get to that point where she's ready to go down for the night.
Right.
So, any final thoughts on the epic crossover event?
Excuse me. I would definitely recommend it. It would be really cool if they were to release it as a 4-part movie, no breaks, straight on through.
Even if it's just digital. Even if it's just digital.
Pick up the crisis headline at each part, just straight on through.
I'm even checking right now while we're talking to see if there was anything put like as a digital release, and there's not. Just the individual episodes.
One thing on they did have it. Watch Crisis on Earth X. It was its own thing, its own headline. It had its own title. It says Watch Crisis, and when you click on it, you go there. It's part 1 through 4.
Right.
You can watch the whole thing straight like that, but not as like. And it has the autoplay, so it'll go on for you. You don't even have to mess with it. But you just have the title sequence, which, like any of these shows, is short. They don't have a title sequence for shows anymore.
I like that for some shows. I think
these shows it works.
Yes. And I like it for Supernatural.
Yes.
Because, side note, one thing I've always loved about Supernatural is the fact that every season they change the title card. So once you see that title card, you can kind of like, oh, I know what season this is. And Arrow kind of did it. Like, they really didn't do it for season 1 and 2, but they did for 3. And then they did for 4 because they made it like a bright green arrow. But they didn't do it for Flash until now, this season. So.
I'll have to check out some of the old stuff and see, because I haven't rewatched any Flash. Arrow was my favorite for a long time.
Arrow's such a weird show in the sense of Arrow was great, and then when the Flash started, like the first half of season 3 is great, and then the back half when it's all Ra's al Ghul stuff, it kind of falls apart. And then when they tried to like lighten it up in season 4, and they did the Damien Dark, like it really fell apart because they lost the idea of keeping Arrow as the grounded show. And they tried to make it more fantastical, like The Flash, and it just didn't work.
Then they brought it back down for season 5, which was,
and season 6,
the best season since season 2.
Yes, season 6 has been good, but season 5 was great.
Yeah.
I think that if they would have done Damien Dark as the villain like they did for season 4 of Arrow, they needed to bring on a character like Constantine or Zatanna and had them the entire season and make it more of just magic, and made it more about Oliver having a kind of personal crisis with the idea that this is something bigger than him that he can't just punch his way out of.
Right.
And definitely should not have had Oliver on the island dealing with magic. He should have met Constantine when he was off the island, like in China.
Yeah.
I feel like season 4 is just bad writing, almost the complete season.
Every show has its ups and downs, and thankfully Arrow has come back up. Had a rocky couple of seasons, but it turned back around, went back to what works.
So, all right. Well, James, thanks for being on and being part of us. You got your crisis to handle. I got mine. And James and I are going to get back together soon and talk some more about all the great superhero stuff that we had and experienced in 2017. Right now, we're just trying to catch up with all the craziness. So, James, any final thoughts to say before we depart?
No, I'm actually pretty good. If you wanna get in touch with me and talk about DC, the shows, comics, some stuff I keep up on, you can get in touch with me on Facebook, James Cole. James Cole the third, actually. It's just I.
AC3.
And
That's his. That's his street name.
Jason. Yeah. Actually, I do have a J3 training page on there as well.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something we should talk about next time.
Yeah, that might be another cast.
Okay.
There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all.
This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
So be sure to check out Capes and Lunatics for all your nerdy needs and randomness, as well as many other awesome shows on the Southgate Media Network. If you have an interest, I bet we have a show. And you can find me on Capes and Lunatics. So until then, keep listening. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, please leave us a review to help us get better. If you're an Amazon shopper, just remember you can go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a portal log into Amazon, and you'll shop into your account just regular, but it also helps keep all the podcasts on and helps keep Southgate running. Remember, look up in the sky.